horrible people who have no boundaries.
Can you not touch me?
No manners, no integrity.
Did you leak the acquisition rumor? Yes or no?
No, maybe.
I shouldn't have leaked the acquisition rumor. That's on me.
Billy, how did you calibrate? Because I'm assuming you probably don't have a lot of exposure to Silicon Valley types.
You're correct. You're correct in that statement.
So
yeah.
what did you use as sort of your sort of mood board for who this guy was and where he fits into a world where there are giants?
First of all, I'm working with Jonathan Glatzer, probably one of the greatest living writers of our generation right now. So it all stems from his creative mind and bringing breath to his work and his words. We see these names in all the headlines in the paper. We see these people, these titans are up there. And my job as an actor is to come in and take little pieces from each of them and put something together to be like, who's the guy that's not a tech titan, but is just under them and is hungry enough to find and fill that space. Also, like just talking about Duncan Park, I think the show Jonathan has created is like his internal conflict is kind of seen through the kids' eyes in this world. They are innocent souls coming into this world, and you're slowly seeing the toxic nature of Silicon Valley seep into them. And I think that's what Duncan was. He was hopeful. He was a guy coming here to make something beautiful, something powerful, a community. And then slowly through the whatever you want to say the religion of what Silicon Valley is, he became a follower and now is getting delusional and lost. But I don't think he's a bad guy.
All of these characters in this show are such freaks to me. I say that with affection, but they are such freaks. And I wonder, like, they're inspired by these like real life tech billionaires and those people in their sphere and everything. For your characters, was there anyone in real life, either like famous or personal for you, that you pulled inspiration from for your performances?
I know my character because we talked about even when I was in the audition process. It was Jonathan did grow up with a mother who is a psychologist and a stepfather who is a psychiatrist. So there is some of those dynamics from his real life. So he talked a lot about his stepfather. I think physically quite different, but so I got a lot of that info. But then, there's a couple of people I might have stolen a mannerism to from.
I live in LA and my children go to school here. So there were
lilies everywhere.
There were quite a few lilies, not as aspirational lilies. They don't have as much money as her, but certainly that's sort of alpha type A parent who needs to be in control and running the school and wanting to appear perfect to everyone. And we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And so that was a sort of a type that was helpful to be aware of and see.
Well, I thought, in terms of my military background, I thought of my dad, and I sort of like, for my character biography, I sort of had a similar trajectory that he did, because he had a very interesting trajectory. And it's anything like, none of that's going to be on the screen, right? But it just kind of like shines a light behind your eyes.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was fun for me.
For me, not so much. I mean, I know that, like, I did look into like a few ethicists in the tech world, which is a real job that people have, shockingly. But I think, for me, everything was from Jonathan's mind and on the page, and things that we sort of found as we were going. Like, I think all the characters are extremely unique, and for me, a lot of it was just there on the page.
Yeah, I think that I've met a lot of really brilliant people along the way, like, doing Big Bang Theory, writers or people in science and space programs and all kinds of real brilliant minds that seem to sort of have a slightly lack of an emotional kind of capacity to some degree, or just like the social cues are not all. They're not able to kind of pick up on all the same things that maybe, I don't know, that we can. But so it just creates this slight disconnect. And that, and there was this one Brian Wilson interview I watched that really just stuck with me, where he's like, it really was sad. It was after his nervous breakdown. He was in like a robe and smoking and drinking, like he was trying to figure out how to appear as a human. It's really sad. And I love him. So yeah.
I mean, I think just real teens around the world. Like, I think that was our goal, is to like make people feel seen and make people who may or may not be in these situations kind of like show that we get it. We see what they're, I couldn't imagine what they're going through if that really is what their life looks like. And it seems horrible and I feel bad, but I hope we did a good job making it so that at least some people can relate.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you said it very well. I think that I think I pull kind of more personally than I did for this role, at least from someone else, because I think Orson is kind of just his own person. He's like, he has his own, I mean, later we'll see that a lot, but he has great development, and he changes. And so I think just like finding moments in my life that maybe I can relate to what he's feeling and then expanding upon that.
These characters who have like so much power over the entire like global population with their technology that they make are so disconnected from their humanity, even though they think they're kind of saving it or leading it, right? So if you could shake some sense into the real life people that these characters are satirizing, what would you like to say to them?
Like, capitalism is great. We're here. We're living with it, and we're involved with it. But there's a difference between capitalism and brutal capitalism, and they're playing a type of capitalism that is, I think, becoming even more than brutal.
Fascism?
Yeah. Brutal. Yeah.
I don't know. What would you? I'm scared to say anything.
You can. It's a safe space. You can say it.
No, if you could really talk sense.
Yeah, right.
That's the question. Yeah, they're so detached at this point. I feel like
they're all sociopaths.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I think it would be a fruitless endeavor, but
they don't hurt me.
I mean,
Calm down.
Yeah, I mean, that's very real. I think like the message of the show isn't, I don't think it's necessarily it's not to make fun of, it's not to I don't even necessarily think it's to parody. I think it's like just like you need to stay grounded. You need to, it's so easy, especially with all the tech and social media and everything, the worldly, what's the word I'm looking for?
Tech. I would help you.
Help me. No. Anyways, that's the stuff that we get distracted by in life. It's very easy to get on a high, like cloud nine, and then not want to come down from that. So I think stay grounded, be present, be with your loved ones, take care of them, and don't, plant both feet on the ground. Don't get too far up.
And hold on to hope.
Yeah.
You really want people to think when they watch the show.
Yes, the show, you need to do a lot of thinking.
And think about questions. And make
sure you're not doing what some of them are doing.
Materialistic.
You would never have gotten that.
Sorry. No, I was like, it starts with an M.
You were almost there.
I was almost there.
God, somebody said, AI uses all these resources, and he said, but look at all the resources it takes to raise a human.
Yes.
And you're like, what happened? When did you stop just looking at, when did you see humans as just, a labor force or just something that takes, it's like, where's the soul, that's not a good answer, but that's kind of that's the thing I would like to shake into people, which is these are incredible things, but do good with them.
Yeah, well, they would say that line that Zach has about these people are either driven to make the world a better place or they're just power hungry, money hungry, and sort of most of them are. And so, yeah, that is.
I don't know. It seems simplistic to say it, but I know capitalism doesn't run on altruism, but it you can scale something and make it massively successful and have it not be poison.
As damaging.
It seems like a simple ask when you put it like
well, I mean, the Facebook lawsuit recently was really interesting, right? That they're being held liable for, right? For how it.
The Instagram one. And like,
for children.
You can get addicted to it.
It's addictive.
To children. Yeah.
And they knew it.
Yeah. It's like cigarettes. I mean, don't you think in 30, I mean, either it'll all be over in 30 years, you're going to be like, wait, they let you do what? For how long? Every day?
And this poor there's just a generation of kids who are just almost like a social experiment, because if they're trying to get rid of social media now for young people, you've just got this generation that have been but
also us. I mean, I don't know. I'm addicted.
This show covers a lot of like really timely topics for us in the real world right now, like AI and data mining and the scourge of social media and stuff. I wonder if critiquing those kinds of things was a draw for each of you in this show.
I mean, I think, in some way, I guess it had to be, or at least the themes, the writing. I mean, it's hard to actually boil it down, I guess, to one draw, but it was a cumulative thing with Jonathan's voice and having such a clear, satirical, dark commentary on what's going on and trying to kind of figure out what's driving these people, and then the juiciness of like going into the therapist's office and the carpool lines and into the schools and all. It just was something I hadn't really ever seen done in that way.
Yeah, if I was drawn to any critiquing any element of tech, it probably would just be the people. That's who I think, that's where the poison comes from. So, they used to be our heroes and now they're the villains, and that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I personally didn't know much about the world, the tech world at all before this. And so it's been really like a matter of learning and being aware of, the dangers of it.
It was for me. I mean, I think that one of the things that Jonathan set out to do, I mean, he talks about it openly, is he didn't know anything about tech really, but Dan, chief content officer at AMC, kind of pitched him on was, but the people there are really interesting. And he said, oh, well, that is what appeals to me. And so the humanizing of the people that are kind of running all those things that are dominating our lives, I think is really important. I think humanizing everybody is important, but I think that we kind of see them as these brilliant philosopher kings who are ushering in things that are, evolutionarily happening, as opposed to people making business decisions who have petty grudges, bad marriages, or doing things out of ego, not necessarily, So I think it was really enlightening for me to suddenly step back and say, oh, right, this is just like any community, just with very, very, very high stakes.
I agree. I agree with everything Paul just said. That he said everything. That was good, Paul.
Thanks.
It's like, yes. Me too.
You mean my hype person?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
It was definitely interesting. I think that the draw for me was just the creatives behind it and the cast and the scripts and how incredible it looked. But I know all that AI stuff can get pretty crazy nowadays.
I think what drew me was just the characters and how Jonathan did such a great job in writing these characters. Mm-hmm. And I think you know, as you watch the show, you're just going to be so invested in what they do next and how crazy they can be. And I think that's the main appeal to the show.
Kind of. I mean, I'm more interested in Jonathan's bigger questions about humanity. Like, I feel like he chose Silicon Valley as the snow globe to tell this story. And I think it's a great choice because it's such an extreme place. And it is the home of the so-called self-professed architects of the future. But I think he's getting to something so much deeper about our core nature, and for these people, mostly men, to make that the kind of money that they do off of these platforms, the behavior has to already be there. Don't get me wrong, I hold many of them accountable for a lot, but what they've done, I feel, is they've taken the seeds of what's already within us that's unpleasant, and they found ways to manipulate and commodify it, but they didn't invent the behavior. And I feel that Jonathan's really like getting to the root of that and the big questions about, you know, what makes us human and how are we so far away from ourselves. Within that, obviously, I'm very interested in what AI holds, and I'm glad that there's a storyline that reflects that. I mean, I'm optimistic in that, like, you know, I don't want to read an AI novel or your article, or an article written by AI. I want to read your article, or I don't want to watch an AI film. I want to watch a human film. So, you know, I'm hoping you and I both have jobs in a few years. But like just before I got on this interview, I think I was on the New Yorker, and I was like, maybe I'll listen to this article instead of read it, because I was multitasking, and it was like an AI voice, and I just didn't want to listen to it. It just didn't. I couldn't connect to it, even though it's you know, not a bad rendition of human. It doesn't feel human. So my hope is like the desperate need we all have, like a valid desperate need to connect, I hope will sustain. And, you know, television didn't kill theater, right? So my hope is that AI won't kill human-based art. And, you know, I promise to read and watch your interviews if you promise to watch the Audacity.
I'll promise I'll watch the last 2 episodes. Yeah. And season 2, you're already renewed.
When you wrote this character, Jonathan, like this guy is, I mean, it's such a tiny, tiny needle to thread, because he has to be terrible, and he has to be vain, and he has to be broken. But also we have to feel for this guy, and he cannot get a win, even though he's clearly failed upwards.
I don't know if you know, throughout the show, he plays basketball in his office. He never once gets it into the hoop. Very important. No, you're right. I mean, look, the putting it into the context of a satire helps. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that we open ourselves up a little bit. Our capillaries open up when we laugh, and then that makes you a little bit more vulnerable when we gut punch you, which we will. You know, that's coming. And I think that hopefully the right mix. But again, I do think that, you know, making him not a tech titan, but a wannabe tech titan, you know, expanding the world so it's not just taking place in an office, but in, you know, the school that his kid goes to, the therapist that he sees, the therapist's family, her child, her husband. You know, it's a very broad swath that we're painting, and hopefully it creates a bigger picture that humanizes the business and the stuff that I think you can kind of get stuck in that becomes a little you've seen before.